So if you have followed tablets made by Lenovo recently, you may already know that the P11 Pro 2nd generation is one of their best tablets so far, probably only second to the P12 Pro, which is going to be more expensive. But how does it compare to the new iPad 10th generation that was just released? Today we're going to compare as much as possible to find out. There's going to be some things pretty similar between these two, and price is one of them. The iPad starts at $449, while the P11 Pro starts at $399, but I've seen the Lenovo tablet on sale for as low as $300 already. You can get the iPad in 64 or 256 gigabytes of storage, and it's got 4 gigabytes of RAM. The Lenovo tablet comes with 128 gigabytes of storage, and then what's a little confusing to me is you can choose between 4 or 6 gigabytes of RAM, but it still has the same amount of storage. Apparently there's also a 256 gigabyte version with 8 gigabytes of RAM, but I haven't seen that one, and I don't believe it's available in the United States. Now both tablets are nice and thin, pretty lightweight as well, only about 7 millimeters thick, about 480 grams. You get a 10.9 inch LCD display on the iPad 10 with 1640 by 2360 resolution. Then you get an 11.2 inch OLED display on the P11 Pro, and it's got 1536 by 2560 resolution. One difference is going to be the refresh rate. You get 120 Hz with the P11 Pro, 60 Hz on the iPad. To me, both screens look good in person, nice and bright, good contrast, but to me the Lenovo tablet appears to be a tad brighter, and colors seem to be a little more vibrant compared to the iPad. The battery life between these two is sort of going to be one-sided. The P11 Pro lasted over 7.5 hours, while the iPad only lasted 5.5, and that's at 100% screen brightness, but both should have enough power to last you through a normal workday, even longer if you turn the screen brightness down. But if you want the tablet with better battery life, you'll want to go with Lenovo. As far as software goes, the P11 Pro is currently on Android 12. The iPad is on iPadOS 16.1.1. Sort of going to be personal preference on which has the better software. I kind of like parts of both tablets, especially now that you can actually zoom in on YouTube videos. I feel like things are getting even closer than before between Android and iOS or iPadOS. You're going to be able to do a lot of the same things, use most of the same apps, regardless of which one you go with. One difference though, you're going to get a fingerprint scanner or Touch ID on the iPad's power button. You're not going to get that with the P11 Pro. Probably going to be personal preference on this one, but I like the Precision Pen 3 a little bit better, and is probably the best pen so far from Lenovo. It's sort of a mix between the S Pen from Samsung, but it has the same tip as the Apple Pencil. Plus you can actually charge it on the back or stick it to the side of the tablet, sort of how you do with Samsung, where you can't do that on the iPad. And just the way that you charge the first gen Pencil with this new iPad, kind of worse than the iPad 9 in my opinion. Nice thing is you can connect each tablet to a keyboard and mouse to make it feel a little more like a regular laptop. One advantage you got with the P11 Pro, it's got productivity mode, and while it's not quite as good as Samsung DeX, it's still a nice feature to have, sort of making it more like a Chromebook versus an Android tablet. Now when it comes to performance, it's going to be a little bit better on the iPad, there's no denying that, but the Lenovo tablet still does a pretty good job, especially when you compare the Geekbench scores to other Android tablets. They both feel pretty smooth just moving around the software, doing most day-to-day tasks, but if you want the tablet with better performance, you'll want to go with the iPad. Sort of a similar story when it comes to gaming. The iPad's going to have better performance, better graphics, smoother frame rates. Both should be able to handle games like Asphalt 9, PUBG Mobile, Apex Legends Mobile, and I think most people are going to enjoy gaming on either, and you can even play a lot of the same games regardless of which one you go with. But if you're going to be playing games, the iPad's probably going to be a little bit better choice. Nice thing is you have speakers on each side for both tablets. They're plenty loud enough on the iPad for most situations. Not going to be quite as loud as the iPad Air 5, but still better than the iPad 9. But with the P11 Pro, you've got quad speakers, and with Dolby Atmos turned on, they're definitely a little bit louder than the iPad. Here's a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of what to expect. Now when it comes to cameras, neither of these are going to be the best out there, but still pretty decent considering they're tablets. You get a 12 megapixel wide angle on the rear facing, on the back of the iPad, 12 megapixel ultra wide for the front facing. Then you get an 8 megapixel front facing on the P11 Pro, 13 megapixel rear facing. One advantage you get with the iPad is you can shoot up to 4K resolution, 60 frames per second for video recording. So I'd probably give the slight advantage to the iPad as far as which has better cameras, but here's a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of what to expect. Overall, I feel like the P11 Pro Gen 2 is probably one of the best tablets Lenovo offers, but whether it does enough to convince you to buy it over something like the iPad 10 is gonna be up to you. I know I've got more tablet and phone comparisons to do yet, so you'll wanna look out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.